Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. I'm Dr. T, PhD, the prodigy of sports psychology, welcoming back one of my very favorite guests right back here on GoTarryn TV, representing Get Pulsed and also representing Newton County, Georgia, Commissioner Alana Sanders. Now, before Commissioner Alana returns back here on today's show, I'd like to ask everyone out there if you'd please be so kind as to like this video, leave us a comment, and share it with all of your friends and family out there. I'm excited to get Commissioner Sanders back here on today's show just to check in with her and all the craziness that's going on in this world, but especially here in the greater Atlanta area and out in her way in Newton County, Georgia. So we're going to be having a jam-packed fun episode today, as we always do, and we'll be able to catch up right here on GoTarryn TV. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with the Commissioner momentarily. And remember, with GoTarryn Health and Fitness, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. Back in a second.
Amazing. An awesome day. How about yourself?
Very good, thank you. And I know we're checking in again here, and it's just amazing in just how many things and how such short time in a month of craziness that can happen. So you and I last spoke about kind of just how things were looking like it was going to get better, and everyone's getting vaccinated, and now with everything going on, it's kind of thrown a curveball with this latest variant and other variants coming. That seems to be the theme. So what's your thoughts on everything that you've seen happen and transpiring?
On a political level, I think there are some things that we could have done a little bit better to make sure that we protect our citizens. Yeah. Even with the school system, you have a lot of school systems that are sending the children back with no mask mandate, which is now they're calling them the carriers. It's another word they're using. I can't think of it right now. They're calling the children now the carriers because the first week of school, a lot of the kids had to quarantine because they were passing along to each other, which was also passing along to the parents. So you have so many schools in Georgia now who are now going back virtual and shutting down instantly within the first 2 weeks of school because there was no mandates put in place. In Florida, we had a teacher who died because there's no mask mandate, and she caught COVID and died. So some schools had 200. Yeah, you had some schools who had 200 people alone, 200 students alone had to quarantine because it was passed along to them. So I think that our society was not thinking how serious this is, and I think they're starting to think that now. It is nothing to be played with. So it's probably going to put us back to phase one because we're not following the science.
Yeah, that's definitely what it looks like. You're right. So in terms of work and business, how's that been for yourself? Are you able to manage to effectively kind of manage and facilitate from where you're at?
I am able to do that. The great thing, even with my teaching, I'm able to teach from home as well.
Oh, good.
Even some of my fitness events we're doing outside, so we're able to do that, various things. So we're trying to stay as safe as possible. Some events that I did have planned, I had to cut down some of the attendance and shut it down to make sure that we're able to social distance in the building and masks are required. But so my goal is to keep the citizens safe, to stay safe myself, so I don't bring that home to anyone. So I have been able to move forward. We just have to adapt to this new normal. And if we just follow the instructions, we can get out of it as quickly as possible. But everybody has to be on the same page to want to get out of this.
Yeah, very well said. You're right. And how about with, you mentioned about teaching and group instruction and working out in the gym. What's the theme and what's the attitude been in some of the fitness centers that you've been working out in lately?
Yeah, I'm starting to see less people coming now. I love group fitness classes. I'll take a lot of cycling classes. I love going to support other instructors and taking their classes. So I noticed that my cycling class is trickling down now that this variant is coming out and people are like, I'm not playing with this. Even myself, I am masked up at the gym. I have my spray bottle, my wipes. I wipe. I don't care if the person before me wiped. I wipe it again. But a lot of people are going to probably start back just taking themselves out of that environment and start working home and working outside because of the gyms have become lax.
Mm-hmm.
They're not cleaning like they were when they wanted to get us back there,
Mm-hmm.
when they wanted to make sure that we can get back and pay those memberships and take care of their actual members. But they become very lax. I even see employees now walking around without masks. Employees are not even cleaning the bathrooms. They're just doing whatever. And I pay attention to all of that. So I wish the businesses would stress the importance of health. Because especially in a fitness facility, that's health and wellness. So you want to make sure that your clients stay healthy in the inside versus just not only the physical appearance. You want both parts of health. Mm-hmm. So I just wish that we would implement that in that industry, especially those franchise gyms. The box gyms, the gyms have it, but the franchise gyms, when you have employees there who probably are not fitness oriented, they're just working there for a paycheck, they don't understand the concept of health and wellness and taking care of the client.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I've seen that too. And, it's amazing what you mentioned too about the trickling down and less activity. Several of the fitness centers that I'm in, especially here in Buckhead, we've certainly seen a huge attrition and loss of people just not coming in. They're not. And it's amazing because just several of the people I've talked to in a couple of those gyms have basically straight out told me that they're gone for the rest of the year in terms of, I'm going to wait to see how the rest of the year goes, but I'll be back in January. Usually it's funny. We joke like around like the holidays, November, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and when that comes around, you always hear the people that say, I'll be back. I just got to take the next month off in January 1st, New Year's resolutions. But I'm already hearing like that now from the people who have told me that January 1st, 2022, that's New Year's resolutions. And here we are, it's just amazing. It's like, gosh, we haven't even technically finished summer, and you're already hearing, some people saying that. That's just incredible.
Yeah, and there's some fitness classes I stopped going to. I love dance fitness. I love going to the larger group fitness classes. But when the gyms removed, they had it where they had a box, and you had to stay in your box. This person stays in their box. They had it marked off on the floor. And when they removed that tape and it started packing the classes, I was like, I cannot go back. I just couldn't. Because I just saw Delta all over the room. So I was like, I cannot go back. But I just wish that we just take it a little bit seriously.
Yeah, good point. I was just talking to another trainer that I've worked side by side with for a very long time yesterday, and I just asked him flat out, I was curious. I said, how's your business going, since this latest kind of month of Delta and all that potentially coming here? And he said it had gone way down. Like, he's really hurting in terms of not having a lot of clients. And because I thought it was just me, I could tell I was a little slower in the last month. I would say I had a soft July and then even softer August. And so I was just curious. I was like, is this really just the summer, phase? Are you having people out of town, school starting up? But I think it's more than that because not only that, like I mentioned, the fitness centers I've been in have been very empty. And personally, just to be selfish, I like to work out when there's not a lot of people in the gym. So I'm kind of torn on that. I'm on the fence. I'm like, I like that for me. But at the same time, it's kind of scary because I was talking to another person yesterday who had mentioned that he was thinking the future of the fitness industry might be the whole online, virtual, kind of like you and I are doing right now, way to go because, we've seen like Peloton and some of these virtual training business models take off and do quite well, especially during COVID. And a lot of people, as we know, we talked about this, I know, in the past as far as buying their own equipment and doing their own workouts at home, which is great. I advocate people to do that. That's great if they can get their workout in that way. But I just wonder how that's going to change, our industry as far as group exercise and personal training and just overall the commercial gyms. I know the big box fitness centers, using the YMCA, for example, they lost a lot of money and they're in big trouble. So these big commercial gyms are going to be, I would guess, probably number one target in terms of suffering and hurting and not being able to generate, lost revenue because just people aren't coming in pretty much.
And I'm shocked to hear about the YMCA because they get a lot of governmental funding versus those gyms who are not able to get the funding. So to say that they're definitely hurting from getting funding and donations from various people in the industry, I'm shocked to hear that they're hurting. So if they're hurting from getting governmental funding and grants,
right,
we're going to be in bad shape.
Yeah.
But that online presence is what's happening now. A lot of instructors said they've even gained more clients.
Yeah,
from
exactly.
when they were out working from online because people they're scared. Especially those who have families don't want to see that happen. I have one of my colleagues. He lost his sister and I want to say his aunt to COVID.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so I just heard of a husband and wife. They both died within a week or so of each other from having COVID.
Oh, wow.
So it's just it's serious.
Yeah.
It's not nothing to be played with.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think we talked about this a little last month, but we may have just kind of opened up a little too prematurely, maybe. Not only here in Atlanta, but all over the place, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as far as schools go, too, you mentioned this, too. You touched on it. It sounds like schools are really divisive. You have a lot of these parents on both sides just really arguing and very divided and disagreeing on how to push forward with schools. And it's very understandable. I kind of get both sides, and I kind of get the whole fear and thinking of, if you've got kids, you mentioned the new carriers, so to speak, that are out there that aren't vaccinated because some of them are too young, then really it seems like everybody's at risk, and we're back to square one. It's just amazing because you keep hearing about stories of, being vaccinated and then getting COVID, and it's just so frustrating because personally, I thought once everybody got vaccinated and once, I guess kind of the early part of this year, like spring, I thought we were done. I thought the masks went away, and I thought we were out of the woods. And then when this whole wave and this whole thing happened in the summer and this surge going back up, it seems like we're kind of back to the drawing board, and maybe even worse off, too, it seems like.
Yeah. I think the issue is the unvaccinated. That's what they're saying that's causing the issues, the unvaccinated.
Okay.
I know that the ones who have the vaccine, although it won't stop you from getting Delta, but it'll help you fight it. So It has built your immune system up to it. You could possibly have it, but your immune system is fighting it. You won't get the symptoms as the ones who are unvaccinated. So I've reading some of the research, I've been hearing that majority of the patients that are in the hospital are the unvaccinated. So that's what's happening. We have a mass population of unvaccinated citizens in the United States of America. I believe in my county alone, I want to say probably only 20 to 30% are vaccinated.
Yeah.
Out of 112,000 people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, just imagine that's just my county. Imagine the other counties, Georgia, of the 159 counties we have here in Georgia, who are unvaccinated. So that's some of the issues that we're having.
Yeah, that number is like right there in ballpark of what I've seen too, of both, where I work at and plus where I live. And, we definitely see that. And it's just amazing, like we talk about also with social media. Whenever I don't really go on Facebook and Twitter and all that, but if I do, and I'll post like something like this, like our video blog together, and I'll just kind of see what other people are talking about. And just, it's amazing. It seems like people are just so negative and fighting each other on the masks, on this vaccine, on schools, on everything. And it's like, I don't know if I'm the only one, but when I look at that, I'm like, gosh, why are people just so angry and mad at each other and just fighting?
I don't get it either. It's amazing, but we're going to be going to society where we're going to be required to go into buildings that you have to be vaccinated. To give you an example, New Orleans mayor just put a mandate in place. In order for you to go to a restaurant, you have to show your vaccination card or a negative COVID test.
Yeah.
And I get it because if you know New Orleans makeup, it's a tourist city.
Right.
And in order for them to make their business, it's from the hospitality industry, the hotel industry. And so the restaurants and the conventions and the Superdome, all those various things. So if people are not be able to come to work because they have COVID, they lose money.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what you go to New Orleans for.
Right.
So
exactly.
They have to protect the economy so it doesn't fall down, so the citizens can have a job. So their only choice was, if you're going to a restaurant or you're going into a building, you have to show your card or you have to show that you have a negative test. So I get it. I get it. I mean, in order to save the economy, there's some things that has to be done. You have to make those decisions as a leader and stand by it.
Yeah, very well said. And, it's amazing. Even Georgia State University, when COVID first happened, I was released. They let all of us part-time teachers go. And it's incredible because I went ahead and reached back out to ask, hey, what does it look like? Are we any closer to getting back on the payroll and coming back into the classrooms? And they basically said, no, actually, we're further apart from that because they lost a lot of money apparently too, and their budget was just slashed, and they said we just can't afford to bring on any adjunct professors back, and so they said it's going to be a while. They said, Taryn, if you want to look somewhere else, we don't blame you, because it just looks like it's going to be quite some time before, because if we think about it, I guess it makes sense. They don't want the classes to be in the classrooms as much as possible. I think they're still in a hybrid type of virtual learning too. And if you have all those students, kind of just traveling, and if they're a lot of the students that I knew who were taking public transportation were very concerned and worried about getting COVID. Say if they were taking MARTA or the bus or what have you, because they just felt like they weren't sure if everyone else was vaccinated or if COVID Delta was present and such. So I think that a lot of that right now is going on, of why we're seeing not only schools but also universities. Is your daughter doing okay? I hope she's all right.
She's doing good.
Yeah.
As you know, she loves science, so
Yeah.
she would never take that mask off. She don't care what's happening. She's not going to take the mask off. I prepared her wipes. I said every desk you go to, wipe it down, whatever you touch, and she's very specific on what she's going to touch. Even with taking her mask off, she's going to wipe her hands before even touching her mask. So she pays attention to all of that. So I think she's been doing a great job taking care of herself going to school. This is her senior year. Yeah. So it's kind of hard not allowing her to. I want to take her out, but it's like, it's your senior year. So I'm like, what do you do as a senior? So I have a feeling they're going to be taken out in a while. It's pretty soon anyway. They're going to probably go back virtual. Really?
Wow, that's amazing. How about hopefully she'll be having all the rite to passages as far as homecoming, graduation. I know this is a hard question to answer, but would you predict that they'll be okay for this year for your daughter, or what would you say if you had to guess now?
Our numbers are climbing in Newton County. So I believe that it's not looking good.
Oh, okay.
It's not looking good. If we do what we need to do, then yes. Looking at the CDC results for my county, we're high at risk for transmitting the Delta virus, COVID. Okay. So because we're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. But I have a feeling that we will be placed back on virtual, and it's because of what's happening in the school systems. Okay. The children are the carriers now. Right. And so you have some parents who don't believe in the mask mandate or believe in masks, period, to where they're sending their children and putting that same ideology inside of them to where they're not going to wear the mask. You have some teachers in the school system who are also not wearing masks. And whatever they're getting from their kids, they're passing it on to their colleagues. So it's just a transmittal of this going around, and you have 15,000+ kids in a school system. So that's our carriers right now, the children.
Wow, yeah, and really, even the young people that can get vaccinated now, I think the numbers have even been more pathetic or pitiful in terms of we're just not getting the college and teenagers getting vaccinated, are we? It seems like.
Well, my daughter got vaccinated. I think they lowered the age limit to about 12, I believe. I think it's 12 you can get it. So she wanted to get vaccinated as soon as she's 16. So she wanted to get vaccinated as soon as she was able to get vaccinated. And so she went and got that over the summer. So she is vaccinated. So I think that's one of the things that's probably protecting her. Yeah. She's wearing her mask and she's vaccinated.
Are all her friends following the same suit, or do you find that, or how do you see, like, in terms of her inner circle and such?
Her friends are vaccinated as well, which is a good thing.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a great thing. So those who are in her circle are vaccinated, but you still have that risk of being in class with those who may not be.
No, you're right. Yeah, I mean, that's true. How about the other issue with businesses shutting down? I know there are some places that are going ahead and doing that. Do you see that happening where we live so much, in Atlanta or the greater Atlanta area, or Georgia? What do you see happening there? Because I know there's a lot of businesses that are concerned if that's to happen again.
If it stays the way it does, it will. But our leadership has to fall in line because just like we were the first one to open back up,
Mm-hmm.
we may be the last one to close back down. I need to look at some of the numbers in the other states. Some businesses are putting back their mask requirements to walk into business. I am seeing that. So that is a great thing that they're bringing those mask requirements back to walk into the business, because they do have the liberty to do so as a private entity to be able to put those mask mandates in their building. So
That's
mask
right.
requirements in their building. So that's the great thing about that. If we have businesses follow that suit, then we can stay open longer, to where that we know that when we go shop at certain areas that we're going to be protected.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. I hope, I think everyone's just hopeful that we'll just get through this. And how about with your own personal workouts? You touched on this slightly. Are you finding that you're able to manage to get more working out for yourself? Are you happier because you're actually exercising a lot more compared to, say, a year ago? Or is it the same and unaffected? Or how has it been affected, if so, in terms of your own personal workouts, Alana?
For my personal workout, I would have to say it has been. I used to be an everydayer, or at least a 5 to 6 day a weeker. It has gone down to maybe 3 days a week, possibly 4, because of the situation that we're in. And then, of course, I acquired a new position that's requiring more time of me. But I want to say this, that we have to be dedicated to our personal time, because if our bodies are used to being active one way, it does take a toll on us. For me, I utilize exercise as something that helps me relieve stress. I use exercise as something to get things off of my mind. Mm-hmm. So that's like my scapegoat. So if something is going on with me, I'm like, okay, I'm going to the gym. I'm about to take it out on this bike. I'm about to take it out on this stair stepper, or lift a couple of weights and just release it. So it's my scapegoat. Everybody has some different type of devices that are their scapegoat, but that's mine. So it's like my stress reliever. So I know now I have to schedule my workouts than I used to. Mm-hmm. Like on my calendar, like, okay, you work out. And also coming with that is getting enough rest.
Oh, yes.
That's the other part.
Right.
So I have to schedule all of that to make sure that I'm doing everything that's needed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very good. Absolutely. And Lena, I just can't believe also the summer is just about gone, because, as we mentioned, school is starting back. It feels like we're already kind of falling into fall, so to speak, that fall season's around the corner. So what does your fall look like, kind of short-term goal plans? I know you've touched on wanting to get the Newton County with parks and recreational centers up and going, and the vision of that. And what is your expectations as we get into the rest of this year and into the fall/winter calendar, so to speak?
My fall is more community involvement, but it's kind of hard with the state that we're in right now.
Yeah, right.
Because that's always been my focus, to make sure we get the community involved. Because now, this day and age, we don't know our neighbors.
Yeah,
as you know,
true.
that some people may do, but you live in years ago, you knew everybody that lives in your subdivision, you knew everybody that was around the area. Now we don't really know our neighbors. So my most important thing is providing events, community events, where we get to know people where we live. So that's my goal for that. But of course, I had to do a lot of revamping because of the state that we're in right now. So I'm hoping that we would get out of that, so all of those plans that I had for the community, we can get back to where we need to be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're right. That's been the challenge, hasn't it? Ever since the beginning of this whole thing, like, for example, when you have a huge, big, tragic event, say, like in our lifetime, we had 9/11, and you had people kind of huddling around and grasping each other and holding on and with a group hug. But in this case, it's like the opposite. Like, in this case, you are not to do that. And I think, personally, my own theory is that with having to be 6 feet apart and virtual like we are, I think that's kind of created this kind of divisiveness, and people on social media kind of saying what they want when they wouldn't probably say that in front of someone else, that they're just lashing out the negativity. And it's really challenging us, I think, as a whole, as a community, to kind of keep that virtual group hug, so to speak. And that's what I'm hoping, that we can hopefully get there, like you were saying.
Yeah, it has changed, and I do remember 9/11 when everybody was just like, "Oh my God, I love you, I want to, hi neighbor," It was
Yeah.
just everybody was really it was a difference, but it's so amazing how quickly that went away. We forgot about that.
Yeah.
Americans, we are just like, let's say we have ADD, but we completely forgot about that. What COVID did, I think, brought a lot of families together.
Yeah.
So there's an underlining of that. A lot of family has reconnected. Even with my family, we started doing family Zooms and various things like that. So it kind of brought families together a little bit more because they realized we don't know who could be living tomorrow. And that's a situation that you don't want to be in. That's something you don't want to think about. So you're like, okay, I want to say I love you right now. I want to talk to you right now. Not you looking down at me in a casket, or you can't make it to my funeral because I or anybody passed away in a hospital. And that's one of the saddest things, because when you contract COVID, none of your family members can be there with you. You're there by yourself unless you have a device to be able to talk to someone on Zoom and so forth. So it's a situation to where you like, let me love on my loved ones right now. Let me become closer with them. And I think the quarantine also had forced a lot of people to kind of reconnect with what for so many years, because they've been hustling and bustling and moving and was not thinking about anything but, I got to move. I got to make this money. I have to go get a job. I have to do this. I have to make sure I'm at a job on time. We was just moving, and we didn't think about the most important things in our lives, which is family.
Yeah, you're right. And, very well said. That's a good segue, too, into what you always, I've mentioned it with everything you do. I don't know how you get everything done with your schedule, but you're the queen of the entrepreneurial spirit and owning your own business and having your own identity and brand value and such. And I think that, we've seen a lot lately with unemployment and people not wanting to go back to work and just kind of sitting back and realizing, why do I want to go back and work for minimum wage? And when they're going to make, for every $10 they make, I'm going to be paid 50 cents or whatever the, ratio is. And to say that if they want to invest in themselves, which I know you've been a very big proponent of, very big advocate, and you've come and lectured when I was at Georgia State on that too, into terms of knowing your own value and not selling yourself too cheap, and always making sure you keep high expectations of your own identity, basically, which we're seeing a lot of, aren't we? I think we're seeing a lot of people realizing that now, that they're trying to, instead of working for someone else and going back to the workforce, they're almost investing in themselves, so to speak.
Yeah, and just to speak on that part, because you see a lot of, I would say, Facebook professors, I call them, on Facebook comments. They want to state, they act like they're giving these stats on why people are not going back to work and what's going on with it. And I commented on a couple of those posts, and I was like, do you really know their lifestyle, know what they're going through? People are thinking, why am I going to go back to a job for minimum wage and I could catch COVID and I can die tomorrow? I mean, I know it's kind of harsh to say.
No, I mean, you're right.
It's not even paying me enough to even get my own insurance to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
So they're like, why am I going to do that? And then, like I stated, you have a lot of people who were in poverty before COVID. People thinking that people are just living off the stimulus and supplements that the government is giving them. But the United States had a lot of people in poverty. When we got back the census statistics for my county, which told us that we had 112,000 in my county, it also informed me that we had 9.6% of them that are in poverty. And that's almost 12,000 people. So they were in poverty before COVID hit. So when COVID hit, it put them in a worse situation to where they had to make choices. And so that government assistance that they're receiving did assist them. So, and it probably helped them out more. You have people who said they received more from government assistance than they did when they had their job.
Wow.
And they're able to catch up on bills. I was looking at the stats from the government that said what people did with their stimulus. A lot of people caught up on back debt. They were able to catch up on bills they were behind. So they utilized it for so many various reasons to be able to help them get out of the trenches that they were in before they went through the pandemic.
Yeah.
So they're saying to else, now that I'm able to catch up, I don't want to go back there. I need to find a job that's going to pay me my worth. I need to find a job that's going to support my family, not a job that's going to have me paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, and I would never get out of the situation that I'm in. I would never progress. If you look at the makeup of the United States of America, it's a wonderful country to live in. But if you look at our, I would say, I don't like to say handout, but if you look at our public assistance, it is not set up to get somebody to the next level. Mm-hmm. It's set up to keep you there. It's set up to keep you. They give you just enough to live, but not enough to survive, to get out of it. There's no programs that help the person who are in poverty to get out of being impoverished. There's nothing set up. So it's really important that we. It's also lack of knowledge at educational level. You don't know a person's upbringing and what they've learned and what they were taught over the years. It's all about us being able to teach them to get them to the next level. I talked to even with the housing industry that's going on right now, that's skyrocketing high, and they're selling. I have neighbors who are paying $1,600 for rent.
Oh, wow.
When I told them how much I'm paying for my home that I'm owning, because, a lot of my former neighbors are renting out their homes. So I'm in a subdivision where some of the homes are being rented by my previous neighbors who are homeowners. So some of them may tell me they're paying $1,600 for a 2-3 bedroom. And when I tell them, okay, yeah, you live across the street from me in the same house, and I'm paying more than half of that than what you're paying, I'm owning my home.
Oh, wow.
And they don't know that.
Yeah.
Never taught
right.
how to become a home, how to do those things. So that's what America needs to go back to, is teaching
yes.
our people how to get to the next level and become property owners that will bring property taxes and help people get out of the rut. So I think we need to think about that. How are we going to get our citizens out of this situation? Because we're supposed to be a very wealthy country, but we have a lot of homeless people and a lot of people in poverty.
Yeah.
That does not make sense to me.
No, you're right. That's amazing, Alana. That definitely, that whole topic right there is another 30-minute video blog of talking about how to get people to learn about homeowning and how to create a balance of budget. Things that I don't understand why we're not taught in schools still. And you're right. We have the potential as a country to do that, but it's a shame that, I think you're definitely in the right position where you're at to be able to start with your county and go there and hopefully grow that into something even bigger. We should do a video blog just on that. I would really be curious to pick your brain and just ask you about that. That'd be really neat. Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Let's do that next time. That'll be fun, Alana. And I can't believe we're done for today. 30 minutes just flew by so quickly. But before we let you go, as we always do, let's give you the platform to finalize and tell everybody how they can please learn more about you in Newton County and reach you directly if they have any questions, please.
Yes, you can reach me on all platforms at Alana Sanders, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I don't do a lot of TikToking. I'm a TikTok watcher. But you can find me on all those networks as a commissioner. You can find me on all networks as Commissioner Alana Sanders or CommissionerSanders.com. With my fitness, just go to AlanaSanders.com and it'll bring you to all of my fitness sites.
All right. Wonderful. Well, very good. Thank you so much again. For out of your busy schedule, again, I don't know how you juggle the schedule you have. It's just incredible. So keep up the great work and have a wonderful rest of the weekend. And we always enjoy having you here, and we'll hope to get you back here next month. And let's definitely talk about that as a topic in terms of, I think that'll be really interesting to do that, like I mentioned. But we'll have your contact info here shortly. And again, thank you so much once again, Commissioner Alana Sanders, everybody, of Get Pulsed, and keep up the great work you're doing out there.
All right, thank you.